our shared future. Our generation inherits the world of tomorrow. It's up to us. 2 years ago, as a junior at Carnegie Vanguard High School, I had an independent research project where I convened 20 students and a community leader to talk about our city, our education, and our future. Towards the end of our conversation, one student asked the guest speaker, "How do we get the student voice into the education system?" And he responded, "I want y'all to figure it out. It's your future." So after he left, we stared at each other and we realized that we had to do something. You see, we were in HISD, the Houston Independent School District, the largest school district in Texas, the 8th largest in America, 215,000 students, 75% economically disadvantaged. We wanted to create an organization to represent these students. And so we had the idea of creating a student government that represented these 44 high schools. Now, think about this. By the time you graduate high school as a student, you'll have spent nearly 16,000 hours in the public school system. Isn't it about time decision makers asked students what they thought about their education? Who would have known that a school project would snowball into this? By summertime, we were meeting, arguing, collaborating, trying to figure out the quirks of our new student government. We wanted to represent the students of our school district. But in order to give students a voice, we had to listen to the voices of students. Now, let me tell you, listening is hard. Like, really hard. Especially for me. I can't hear from my right ear. I can't stick my finger into it. There's no ear canal. For the past 18 years, I've never been able to hear the right side of the world. I'm half deaf. And I know that's not the biggest problem, and there are people in this room with tougher challenges. But for me, it's a struggle. Growing up, if I was in a loud room, I wouldn't be able to hear. If there was someone on this side of me, my right side, I wouldn't hear anything, like almost nothing. And so I would just smile and nod, remaining in my own world, pretending to pay attention. But at some point in my life, I decided to try harder. I decided to really listen. I decided to really block out the noise, pay attention, and really listen. Listen to their voices. Listening is something being half deaf has taught me that I'm thankful for. I'm grateful for that. Now, regardless of what side of my ears someone is on, I hear them because I do my best to listen to them. Listening is the most underrated thing, and people think it's so easy. But the truth is, it's super important, and it's not easy. You really have to work at it. So for example, listening takes time. And time takes patience. And patience isn't easy. You have to block out the noise. You have to pay attention. You have to really listen and focus on the other person. It was the same thing in our organization, the HISD Student Congress, which is what we created. By the end of summer, right before the school year started, we were trying to create our organizational structure. Some people suggested that we create a representative body with representatives from each high school student council. But many of the people with that idea were high-achieving student body president types. And we listened to their voices. But others thought that we should keep it open to everyone, which is what we ended up doing. The people who suggested that weren't as involved in their schools, perhaps weren't as part of many clubs, and maybe wanted to get involved, but didn't even know how. We listened to them too. In fact, their voices matter the most to me. Listening has taught me that ordinary people can give extraordinary ideas. We were ordinary students, and we did extraordinary things. Let me tell you right now, I believe in us. We can do it. We're ordinary people, and we can do extraordinary things. If you're passionate about something, go for it. Go for it, and the world will come to your aid. Ordinary students can do extraordinary things. Ordinary people can do extraordinary things. They do it all the time. The school year began. We held our kickoff meeting with 80 students at the school district central office. It was amazing. Later, we took 125 students to a school board meeting. It was phenomenal. But it also wasn't easy. I mean, it was the first semester of senior year. We had grades to achieve, college apps to get through, the cursed SAT. We had jobs and friends and families, and then there was the cynicism. There were all kinds of people who didn't believe in us, who said we wouldn't ever achieve anything, who said that students would never come to our meetings, or that administrators would never listen to us, or that this or that just wouldn't happen. There were so many people who didn't believe we would ever achieve anything. I'm going to call that noise. It's noise. The noise all around us, the stress of school, the cynicism of other people, the voice in our head telling us that we can't do it. You know what I'm talking about? It's that voice saying, why bother? That voice saying, why try? That voice saying, what's in it for me? Block out that voice. Block out that noise. We had to block out that noise, and we had to focus on our mission, giving voice to students. The school year continued. Second semester came by, college apps behind us, grades, SAT now gone, and our cabinet could deeply focus on the student congress and the issues that affected real students in their everyday lives, that affected us. We went through meeting after meeting every week, working with the school district on curriculum changes, discipline policy, food waste, and literacy. We were doing all these things to impact our lives because we were the ones who mattered most in our own education. And so we were doing all these things, and then we had the idea of filing an amicus curiae brief with the Texas Supreme Court. You see, 600 school districts had sued the state of Texas, arguing that public schools were unconstitutionally underfunded. For those of you who have ever been to public school, you know that. But many of our political leaders don't. The fact that our public schools are so underfunded is one of the biggest kept secrets in America. So we set out to expose that secret. We wrote a 35-page amicus curiae document, which is basically a legal brief written by people who aren't associated with the case but still have an opinion to share. We had opinion, the student voice, and we shared it with the world. Now, doing so required listening and paying attention. There was a lot of lawyers involved in the case, and if any of y'all know lawyers, you know that they're pretty good at making things boring. They're good people doing great things, but the nature of their profession requires them to make students sound like nameless, faceless numbers. And so we put names and faces to real issues facing real students because of real funding inadequacy. Doing so requires paying attention and listening. Us 10 students who wrote the document, we weren't doing that bad at school at all. I mean, we had a decent enough education to be writing a legal brief. But our friends, our classmates, our neighbors, the kids who were up till 2 a.m. every night stressed over homework, the student who had a full-time job, a physically abusive mother, and was trying to graduate high school, the folks who dealt with drugs or bullying or alcohol, those were the voices we listened to. Those were the voices we paid attention to because those are the voices that matter most. We amplified the voices of students who were left unheard for so long, and we did it because we paid attention and listened to their voices in the first place. Listening is a sign of caring. Listening takes time. And time takes patience. And patience shows we care. Listening shows we care. I wonder what our schools would look like if we all cared more for each other by listening. So for example, our school district, the graduation rate is 80%, which is not the same as the national average. But let's invert that statistic. 20% of us nationwide don't graduate. As students, when we walk across the stage accepting our diplomas, 1 of every 5 of our classmates won't be there. What about them? There are all kinds of ideas to fix this, from alternative education courses to intervention programs to one-on-one tutoring. And these are good ideas, and we should listen to them. But some of these ideas are coming from the outside. They're exogenous. It's almost like they're noise. And I wonder, what if we blocked out that noise and considered us, students, inside the classroom, inside the schools? What if the 80% who graduated listened to the 20% who didn't? Spent time with them. Paid attention. Cared. And did something about it. Imagine if in our schools we collectively committed to getting all of us past the finish line. If in our schools we all decided that we're going to have each other's backs. If in our schools those who did well in school tutored those who did poorly. If we all paid attention to one another. If we all watched out for when someone was in need and we helped them out. If us students took it upon ourselves to make sure we all graduated high school. I bet you that would do way more than any innovative idea in education. Perhaps those ideas are noise, and if we just considered us students, we could fix the problem. We're ordinary people, and maybe we can be the extraordinary change makers in getting all of us to graduate high school, a national crisis. The truth is, I don't know, but we have to start from somewhere. By blocking out the noise, by paying attention, by listening. Because it's not my future, it's not your future, it's our future, our shared future. We're in this together. We have to stand by each other. So with whatever's going on in your life, big or small, academic or personal, try to slow down sometime. Consider the people around you. Block out the noise of your own stress. Pay attention to those who are in distress. And really listen. Try to really listen. Thank you.